This will be another multi-part video about servicing an old Volvo BM T400 Buster tractor. It's been around since before I was born, around this house I live in now, I think. And it's will contain a full service of everything pretty much on it. I missed a little bit with the oil change, getting the oil filter out, and but some of the stuff I will do to it is not very technical, and I will not cover it in great detail, but I thought I could squeeze all of it into one video, but that will be way too long, so it will be several parts. We realized that the loader on it will be a lot of hindrance looking it over, so we decided to lift that off. One of the connectors, the O-ring, wanted to sneak out. Spent some time trying to get that back into place, but it's kind of lost its shape, and was able to fish it out and try to push another one back in, but that wouldn't go, and taking it apart was not easy. But my dad found we had a spare one laying around, so I'll probably just toss that one with a bad O-ring. Inside, behind the air filter unit, the tractor meter cable connects, and it's been broken for many years. It's for the RPMs, and it kind of counts the hours. Well, it increases that based on the RPMs. It's not a true hour counter. That's why they call it a tractor meter. So I was gonna look at replacing that and a few other things that are not really working, and maybe patch up a few smaller leaks along with all the fluids getting changed. We pulled out the meter itself, and with the stump of the broken wire we tried moving it, and it would not budge. It was seized in place, so we did spray it a little, and it started kind of moving. We decided to open it up and see what it looked like inside, and turned out that it's pressed, a press fitting, so had to bend away the metal slowly, gently, trying not to damage it too much to be able to open the unit up. And with it open, there are two screws, and you can get the like internals out of the housing. And it's what a lot of old cars used for the speedo sensor or speedometer. They have a thing spinning, and then that has a magnet that pulls the actual needle up. And I know my dad had an old car that showed way too high on the speedo because something was acting up in here, and here I have it apart so that I can move the unit that actually spins, that have the magnet. We also try to figure out how the hour meter works, and it's very clever with an oscillating unit that pulls a little lever, that pulls another lever, that pulls the actual dials to gear things down. Tried some tests, and it does move, but I'm not sure exactly, and I eventually gave up on this. I think the magnet has lost its magnetism or something over the years, but it will be nice to have the hours count up at least, to keep track of that. Did also see that it seemed to leak from the where the tractor meter cable connects, so took that off, and found that the seal here was super brittle. Touching it with my fingers, it cracked, so no wonder it was leaking. Cleaned things up, removed the gasket, waited for parts also, so changed the tension to something else, draining the hydraulic oil. We just loosened the hose here and pushed it a little to the side to start draining things. moved over to draining the rear axle and gearbox that share the same oil. It actually didn't have a lot of water in it, as I suspected, being neglected for many years, and the oil didn't look all that bad. No magnets on the plugs, but it's like a recess here that can collect. There was a few chips in there with metal debris, but nothing of big concern. And then the gearbox part of it has its own drain plug, but you fill both units at the same place. I guess it's a little wall retaining oil in the gearbox section. If you have a leak on the rear axle, the gearbox won't be fully drained. Was also missing a bolt here, and it's not a normal metric. It must be some imperial stuff, and my dad took one with him and was gonna find a replacement. Realized we had to undo some pipe here to access the hydraulic oil filter. There is a clamp further up that holds some stuff together. It was loosened to be able to bend the pipe out of the way enough. With the oil filter loosened, it still wasn't possible to get clearance to remove it, so the rod from the clutch was removed. Had to pull some spring here, and then the rod itself could be removed and kind of moved a little out of the way and give enough clearance to get the filter assembly out. Was a little tricky, and it was a lot easier on the other side because there was a piece missing. Reinstalled the plugs after it's drained. It did seem to want to not seal up fully, because it looked like, even if I cleaned it, looked like I had a little thread tape on there. Then there is a little small gearbox or transfer case for the PTO shaft if you wanted to follow the clutch or not. That has a few liters of oil in it, and that looked quite murky. Had to do some special here with the level plug, because it's a square square insert there, so had to cut a piece of metal to size and a little bit special. We did fill that part up with diesel to flush it, let it sit for a couple of days with diesel in it before draining it again. What was this? Yes, this is for that front ventilator at the top. It was super black there. That's where we accessed to fill it, but it was also nice getting this out and cleaning things up, because over the years I'm not sure if it has pushed a little oil out here or if it's some other leak that has caused this to be like a black mushroom. It was put back into place temporarily, but I will fill oil through that hole before tightening it up. I wanted to scrape away gaskets from the oil filter holder, and didn't want any of that to fall into the front PTO gearbox. The inside of the hydraulic oil tank have some black stuff at the bottom, so will do my best to clean that out. Looked like there was a tiny leak from this hose here connecting to the hydraulic oil tank, but it was impossible. I tried moving the hose, but the pipes are so close together, so I would have to start loosening the pipe, and I didn't feel like that, so I hope just tightening the clamps up. The hose didn't look too bad, so I will need to keep track on that if it leaks or not. That front gearbox was drained. I missed that. The diesel was drained. I will do a quick flush on this. It's just a couple of liters in there, and it will be easy to fill it again after it has seen some use. It's possible to use this syringe solution, big syringe, and just fill it through the level hole, so you don't need to access this hard to reach ventilator hole. And a couple of new bolts with odd threads to bolt the tractor back together. The steering gearbox or steering gear thingy was low on oil, and there does not seem to be a easy drain plug or anything as I can understand it, but decided to just fill it with fresh oil for now. Cleaning hydraulic oil tank, some compressed air to blow things to the side and try to reach in and scoop out some of the muck down there, and then on the long nozzle some paper and pushing that around and getting most of it out of the way. A little bit difference in the hydraulic oil filter. The new one has kind of a little recess where the other one was kind of flat, but it still connects to the O-rings that did not come with any new O-rings, but the ones the rubber seals that were on there were kind of wide enough to cover that recess, so should work. It's screwed into place, but it has some spring involved. I think it is if it gets clogged, it will just keep circling the oil and bypass the filter. Install the suction sieve mesh on that. There are different schools that can get clogged also, but hopefully I will be able to keep up with maintenance to the point that it won't get clogged. Had found these bolts or pin bolts loose, needed to push things back to be able to line them up very tight. Used this luggage strap to pull it to the side as I pushed it back. Had also loosened two other mounts here to make it a little easier to move the entire hydraulic tank unit. Well, it's involved the diesel tank also. Tightened everything up after I got things into place. Installing the hydraulic oil filter, I used that strap also to put a foot on the and be able to get the pipe out of the way. After that, reinstalling the clutch, I also used the luggage strap to be able to put a foot in there and help pull the spring to be able to line that back up. The shaft was loose, or the adjustment on the shaft was loose for the clutch, but tightened that up. The clamp, did some more testing on this one before bolting it back up, but given up on getting accurate RPM readings. Took some measurements from the actual machine, but I cannot for the life, even with moving the needle around, get accurate readings. So given up on that, I've started with some silicone to try and bolt it back up and at least have the hours count up. That's it for now. There will be at least one more video, maybe two, before I'm finished with this machine.